Hi, this is the Black Renegade Rising. I am a maven looking for my haven on the continent. Thank you so much for joining me. I just want to talk briefly about the unrest, terrorism, as you may want to put it, white fear that has taken place at the Capitol. This is simply a part two. Today it was really interesting hearing about the events from the various politicians who are now stating that this was an atrocity, a travesty of justice. You'll hear a lot of different things, but what most of them come back to is how dark a moment in history, in American history, this really is. The problem with that is America has already had its darkest history. America had a long legacy of darkness that lasted from the genocides that happened to the Native Americans who were already here, or First Nations people, and the Ma'afa, also known as the transatlantic slave trade, and all that preceded with the chattel slavery. So we have definitely had a dark history here in this country and a dark period in this nation. The Capitol was simply an extension of white supremacy, white privilege. Just the things that other people can do that melanated individuals cannot. Wearing a hoodie is something a melanated individual cannot. Going to church and worshiping is something a melanated individual cannot do. Sleeping in our own beds, going home, spending time in our own homes is not something a melanated individual can do. Going to school, driving a car, without the potential recourse of death if we're seen as a threat, whether it's by a Karen who calls in a false report of an incident, or whether or not it's simply a police officer or a concerned citizen. America is not experiencing its darkest hour. However, America is experiencing one of its finest hours. It's giving America a chance to reflect on what's going on. What do I mean by that? The world is watching. And what do I mean by that? Is America will be required to respond. How can you say you're the greatest nation on earth when everyone is seeing your underwear finally stained and holy, and not the perfectly white pressed Cloroxed underwear that you claim to have? Going back to all the condemnation by the politicians and the media, how could this happen? Weren't we prepared? Of course you were prepared. You were perfectly prepared when it was Black Lives Matter movement. Peaceful people saying that they are human, first of all, and as a human, they should have basic rights. That unnerved you. That made people a bit anxious and upset. How dare you, black people, after you've built this country under, of course, stress and the threat of violence and death, build this nation for us. Make it great. Listen to our capitalist spiels about you should buy more, have more, because it's great. Having more is great. And then you not be able to do those things. Your neighborhoods are crap. Well, that has to do with redlining and a number of other issues related to the systemic laws and racism that apply here. Again, this is just simply stating that even though there's so many politicians, media personnel, and celebrities and others coming forward to say, how could this happen? How could this happen on our watch? Well, you know, but no one really wants to state the obvious. White privilege, white supremacy, those wonderful benefits that are only extended to individuals with pale skin who tend to lack melanin. Melanated individuals, the Capitol would have been littered with bodies if it had been the Black Lives Matter movement getting too close to the stairs of the Capitol, let alone actually violently breaking in. The language that's used by the media is a problem. The language that's allowed is a problem. This country has problems all over. But the only way this can actually be addressed is to state that you have a problem. And again, the purpose of this channel is to make sure my melanated fellow individuals out there understand that you do have an option. Some people believe it's going to get better here. I do not. It may get better for them. I don't think it's going to get better for melanated individuals. And there are a number of places around the world that will treat you much better. The continent is my goal, just like it is many melanated individuals who are planning their exodus from this failed state, or rather this failed state that failed us from day one. And again, this is simply another rant on what's going on, because I had a feeling the media would turn this around into a, how could this happen? How could we not be prepared for such craziness? How could they storm the Capitol? How could they do this? Easily. You let them in. You let your neighbor in. You let your brother in. You let your cousin in. You let the guy that you see down at the corner store, or the country store for that matter, you just let them in. They came in. And for the others, they just went ahead and broke it down because that's what America is known for. The majority is always known for, when necessary, using force. And force is used every day, unfortunately, on melanated individuals. Again, you can't even worship without the fear of being slaughtered. You can't stay in your own home without the fear of someone mistaking your home or apartment for theirs and executing you. You can't even sleep in your own bed for the fear that someone may execute you, even though you are in an open carry state. These things happen over and over and over. And for us, we need to look at our exit plan. We also need to think about the fact that these people who lack melanin are enraged, and they're going to take their anger out somewhere. And it'll probably be in our direction. Do you have a strategy? It's time to start thinking about those things seriously. Because America is finally opening up in a different way. But the problem is, we, melanated individuals, will probably bear the brunt and be the bearers of the price that must be paid. Again, thank you for your time. This is the Black Renegade Rising. I am simply a maven looking for my haven on the continent. Until next time, thank you for your time and have a good one. Stay safe.